How we doing, guys? Everyone keeps asking me for a shop update, so let's get right into it. This has been a rough fucking week for trucks in our shop. Holy shit. We got an ISX right here. We just got her tore down. Some of these were in on my last shop update, but they weren't tore down yet. So this one was just recently tore down. And this one was destroyed from Carbon Pack. I actually showed you guys a video of this one the other day. And the crank is pretty messed up. The camshaft's wasted. We are going to sand and polish the crank. It's just not in the budget to replace it. It is a little bit out of spec. So we're going to throw some holy water at her and hopefully she'll stay together. Truck number 2, exact same thing. Carbon got into this engine, absolutely wrecked the fucking shit out of it. Our crank is having issues, but interestingly enough, the crank issue with this one is actually delamination. So this is from the factory. It is a factory problem. They must have cast this one on a Wednesday or something, but again, it's just not in this guy's budget. We're gonna roll her back together the way she is. Throw an in-frame kit at it in the head and get him back on his way. We're gonna throw some fucking holy water at that one too, I guess. This bad boy right here is being tore down. It's not completely tore down. We're seeing some carnage. But if the crank's messed up on this one too, I swear to God, I don't know what I'm gonna do. This one right here is a Cat engine. Took us about 2 hours to get the head off. All the head bolts were stuck. Once we got it loose, we got shattered liners. This thing is an absolute fucking wreck. We don't know what the crank's gonna look like. We had all kinds of failures on the head gasket, so everything was rusted together. You can see the rust down in this thing. The head bolts were completely rusted. We used a 1-inch tire gun, a torque multiplier, whatever it took just to get the head off of there. We got this N14 that we were doing the camshaft on, and we got all our new bushings in. She's looking really good, but when we were cleaned up the camshaft and going back together, we found a couple of blemishes. So now we're waiting on a camshaft. It's supposed to get here tomorrow. I overnighted it, but you know how that goes. Probably not going to get it till Monday. Then we got this bad boy here, another one of these mobile homes on wheels. Man, we get a lot of these. But this one's looking pretty good. This is probably the only exception in the shop. We've got her tore down pretty well, really not finding anything wrong. We did have a completely cracked out head, but you know, no big deal. We were already planning on putting a head on it. And then right back into absolute carnage, we have this 6NZ here. This one had carbon stacked really bad, packed in the rings, took out all the liners. Yeah, 6NZ with no EGR, packed with carbon, absolutely wrecked this thing. Number 4 main is completely trashed. We're super nervous about going back together with that one. I put back together worse and sent it though, so it's not the end of the world, but again, it's not in our budget to do that, so we're just going to throw her together and roll tide. Again, carbon destroyed this one. 6NZ. Then we have this Acert here. This Acert suffered the same problem. I made videos about this one earlier today. This one, it was carbon stacked, and all that carbon was going down into the crankcase, went through the entire system, destroyed the camshaft, destroyed all the valve train, wrecked the liners, wrecked the pistons, broken rings. You can see some of this damage here on the camshaft. And of course, I'm sure you can imagine that it wasn't confined to just the camshaft. Our crank on this thing is also pretty scratched up. Again, we're gonna polish it, we're gonna sand it, and we're gonna send it. It's just not in these guys' budget. So what is that? It's almost 2/3 of the trucks in here, technically, if they were at some other shops, you know, like at PACCAR, or I mean at Freightliner or Kenworth or Peterbilt, they wouldn't even have put them back together for them. So, you know, I guess call me a hack, but we're going to get these guys back going again. And, you know, it's a little bit of risk they take, but, you know, it didn't fly apart before it got here, so has a good chance of not flying apart after it leaves. We'll see, but it's just been a shit show. Everything's getting held up all the time. And for our out of frames, Timmy's been honking on this ISX here. He just basically started it this morning and already got it that far. Then over here in Lightning's Bay, he's putting together this big cam right here. Just about to dunk these in hot water so he can get them in here. He's got the liners in. We had to counterboard this thing. We sent this thing to the machine shop, and we're not really sure what happened, but this thing was pretty messed up when we got it back, and we had to counterboard it. And nothing that the machine shop did. And then as you can see, Lightning also has a cat going on in here, but that's at the machine shop right now. And he has a Detroit going on in here, but both of those blocks are at the machine shop still. Then of course over here in my bay, we're just finishing up this build right here. This is not one of our 640 builds, but it's pretty close. This one started out as an in-frame, became an out-of-frame. It's been here for months longer than it was supposed to be, and we're just about there. It's going to go home soon. This is one of our 640 builds. We're hoping to have it in primer Monday morning, and then paint on Tuesday, because the truck we're going to put it in is going to be here on Monday, but we still got to pull that engine out, so we have 3 or 4 day leeway there, and then we're going to try and get her in the truck and get out of here. Then on our outer frames that are already back in the truck, we have this 60 Series Detroit that we just finished up, and Angel's putting this one back together. And then right here we have this cat. This one we've already taken out and broken in, and it's having some kind of an injector problem. We're putting a bunch of fuel out of the exhaust system. We went to go check it out, and the batteries are already dead. Somebody left the lights on or something, but tomorrow we're going to go ahead and figure out where that last injector is giving us some fits. We didn't do new injectors on this, so kind of is what it is. We were putting a lot of fuel out the turbo. It may not have an injector out. You know, you can see we were getting a lot of unburnt fuel here. We're hoping it's an injector, but it could just be because it's brand new. You do see some of this go on when they're first started up, but we'll have to see. We're just going to check it, make sure it's not an injector before we go run the shit out of it some more. Then you have these two beauties back here, these Bennett trucks. This one we're waiting on a harness for it, a cab controller harness. That's supposed to be here Monday. We'll get rid of that one. And then we have one of our 640s and this one here. This one we've already taken it out, broken it in. This one is ready to go home. I just have the hood up just so I can show you guys this sexy beast. Bam! Thank you, Custom Truck, for always helping us out. Thought I'd shout them out. Love those guys. So as you guys can see, like always, we're incredibly busy, but as always, we're getting shit done. A lot of people waiting on us. We know that. We're trying to get to everybody. If you want to bring a truck here, you know, get a hold of the girls. We can get you a quote and all that. We are starting to get ahead of how far behind we were for when we shut down in February. That did help us catch up quite a bit. We're finally starting to realize some improvement from that. So things are looking a little better. You know, we've been kicked in the pants several different ways. We had a death in the family, you know, and we lost 7 people for almost an entire week. That's the price you pay for having basically 2 families work at the same shop, and it's all family. So that happened to us, and then seems like every single fucking engine we open up is a disaster from front to back, and it complicates things, but we're getting a handle on it. So thanks for bearing with us, and as always, love you guys a long time. Have a good one.